Thank you, Mrs. Sowski. I'm very excited tonight. As you know, social emotional learning has been a big push for our district over the course of the last 2 years, and we continue to move forward. We have two exceptional educators here tonight who have also brought some students with them virtually. We're going to be hearing from them a little bit. They're going to talk about what social emotional learning is and what it is also through the eyes of our students and why it's important to continue to bring it here. And just as an update, just so that you know, we are going to be moving forward with each one of our board meetings, bringing another aspect of social emotional learning to you to talk with you about, one, what we're doing, but two, why it's important and how we hope the impact will have, positive impact will have on our students. I want to thank Mrs. Susie Hammond and Mrs. Lynn Purdy and then Doug Rigner. We had several students in July. Thank you to the board for approving that went to a virtual field trip. They attended the Social Emotional Learning Ambassadors Retreat the week of July 20th. And some of our students here tonight are going to be talking about that session as well. So without further interruption, I would like to introduce again Mrs. Lynn Purdy and Mrs. Susie Hammond and their students. Take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Rizzo, for your kind introduction. This is Susie Hammond speaking, and I've been working with both VEDM and Resiliency for about 7 years. We see it as a way to uplift student voices and promote connections between students, teachers, and staff. During this presentation, we will hear from student champions of social and emotional learning, or SEL. These students embrace SEL and strive to help students at all levels, K through 12. Speaking tonight, live, are Silk Kiley, a senior who has been involved with SEL her entire school career, and Catherine Black, a sophomore, who will give her thoughts on the importance of social and emotional learning and mental health. Lynn Purdy, my co-advisor, and Rebecca Smith, also a co-advisor for VEDM, are also joining us. Lynn?
Hello, I've had the pleasure of working with students and fellow staff members at Springford on SEL topics for about the past 8 years. During this time, I have served as the Resiliency and VEDM Club co-advisor with Susie and along with Rebecca. During this time, we have had the opportunity to work directly with staff and students in several buildings, which then help create meaningful connections. These connections are key, especially during this unprecedented time. Tonight on video, first you will hear from Aurora Ferguson, who is an incoming 11th grader, and Hannah Sotokoff, who is an incoming senior, who are both an integral part of the club and actually developing several programs that we've had run throughout the district. Last, you'll hear from Cameron Wilson, an incoming 10th grader who has been part of the Resiliency Club since 8th grade, and he has also been a very important role in the SEL initiative in Springford. So I will share my screen so that you can see Hannah and
Hi, I'm Hannah Sotokoff. I'm a senior at Springford and I was the VEDM's club secretary. And I'm Aurora Ferguson. I'm a junior and I was the VEDM's vice president. Today we will be talking about SEL and how it's implemented in the classroom. SEL stands for Social Emotional Learning. SEL is about forming connections between students and teachers and creating a more positive work environment in the classroom. These connections are on a deeper and more personal level. It allows for mutual respect and comfortability in a learning environment. This year, especially due to COVID-19, SEL will be very important for all levels of education. In elementary school education, working in groups, especially on group projects, would be very important for the social connections between students. Also, doing icebreakers will help students get to know each other on a more personal level. For high school, breakout sessions after instruction will be very important because it allows for students with higher anxiety to share their ideas in a smaller group.
Mrs. Hammond, the girls are on the Zoom, so can we have them go through their presentation?
We can. Do you have the PowerPoint queued?
I do.
And then we'll play the second video.
Okay, perfect. All right, girls, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Hi, my name is Jill Kylie, and I'm a senior. And one of the most important aspects of SEL is this concept of a give and take. For example, at the beginning of the year, when teachers typically distribute icebreakers, not only should they be getting to know their students, but students should be given the same opportunity to get to know both their teachers and their peers. In addition, teachers should try to spread little tidbits about themselves throughout the school year. Whether it's a movie that you watched or something fun you did the night before, this helps to almost personify teachers to students. And it ensures that the relationship between students and teachers isn't just one-sided. This new emotional connection will make students more willing to be open with that teacher and participate more often than they typically would. And finally, teachers are role models. So by seeing teachers being willing to communicate with students, not only will these students be more open to communicating with that specific teacher, but with other teachers and their peers. And now my friend Catherine is going to talk about the mental aspect of SEL in the classroom.
Thank you, Sil. Hi, my name is Catherine Black. I'm going into my sophomore year, and I'm a member of the Resiliency Club and a VEDM Club. Both of these clubs have definitely opened up the conversation about mental health in school, and it's so important for students to know that there are people at their school ready and willing to talk about these topics. It's amazing to have clubs at school that focus on the importance of student issues, and having the same openness in the classroom is so important. Learning about SEL and implementing it more in our classroom makes a huge difference in the lives of students. Having stronger connections between teachers and students not only benefits students' learning, but it also allows for students to feel more comfortable when getting academic help and have someone they can trust at school. This makes school a much better environment for students. As Hannah and Aurora said, these connections will be so important as we begin a new school year online. Thank you so much for your time.
This concludes the end of our formal live presentation. Mrs. Purdy or Rich is going to show a second video, and then we will open up for board questions.
Go ahead, Mr. Pavetti. That would be lovely if you could help me out this evening.
Hello, Springford School Board. My name is Karen Wilson and I am going into 10th grade. We need to integrate SEL into our curriculum this year. Not only into the secondary school, but starting all the way at kindergarten. There are going to be so many new students this year starting in kindergarten all online. And it is going to be so hard for them to make friends if we do not integrate SEL. Because it is so much harder to make a connection over the computer than to make it in person, because you can't look at people's body language, and if you say something wrong, then they can always just turn off the mic or turn off their screen. And also, if we don't have like breakout rooms between small groups of children and each student with the teacher, then we can't make connections with each other and with the teacher. Students are less willing to learn when they don't trust the teacher. And I have personal experience with this. When I did not like my teacher, I did not really trust them, I did not want to learn from them. So it is highly important that we learn from them. And we also need to learn each other and become known with all our other co-peers, because then once we integrate back into an in-person, then we can flow smoothly. We won't have to stop because we don't know each other and have to learn everyone once we become in person. And so, also, if something happens, you can always turn off a screen, turn off a mic, and then no one will ever really make a connection. Also, we need to have breakout rooms between all the grades so you can learn who your teacher is, really get to know them, really get to know your other students. So then you don't feel uncomfortable, you're more willing to raise your hand, answer questions, and pretty much just learn better. Also, it is important for the teachers to purposely try to make connections with their students, so then the student wants to learn more and they feel more comfortable coming to and asking questions. Thank you, Springford. Have a great day.
Now, I was wondering if the board has any questions for any of us that are here on Zoom in this particular panel. whether it's the kids or any of the 3 advisors.
Well, I would like to comment and say thank you for doing that, and we certainly understand and appreciate the challenges of even getting that together and doing that on the Zoom. So totally understand that. I thought your students did a great job relaying the importance and how, not you all did, but really the students had so much enthusiasm for this and relayed how important it is. And it's almost that we can feel that this has helped them grow as individuals too, not just as students. So hopefully they're going to take that skill set wherever they go and continue to focus on the importance of those relationships and how that can be helpful. My question is, how do you plan to continue to work this through the first quarter? Should we remain virtual for that period of time, as is currently where we are?
I'm assuming you're asking from a teacher's perspective, or are you asking from a student perspective?
You can give me both. You can tell us both how you're I'm sure I know you did the SEL session in the summer, you were saying in July. So that was probably a good opportunity to reconnect online, right? So how is it that you're planning to go forward with that, with your students and with your planning? Because it will look differently, at least for the start of the year.
You are very correct. It is going to look very different. As I'm starting to lay out and plan my first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I plan to do SEL for the first 15, 20 minutes of each class. If I don't have connections with my kids, which I do naturally in my classroom, I'll pull up a stool and sit and talk. I plan to have a structured talk with purpose. There's also something that we're developing called purposeful prompts, where we can start each class and learn something different about our particular set of students. And Sil, can you and Catherine talk a little bit from the student's perspective, what you hope to see?
Well, I think one of the most important parts of having SEL in the classroom, like I said earlier, is really establishing that open line of communication with your teachers. And it is really going to be harder to do since we are online. But the main thing that I'm hoping to see is teachers just putting in that little bit of extra effort to make sure that not only are we comfortable in the academic sense, but also in the social sense. Because I know one of the main concerns with online learning is the mental aspect for students and feeling isolated almost. So I hope that we'll do some maybe breakout groups and things like that in order to have that social aspect back in the classroom.
I know from the biology perspective, because we've been talking with the biology group, that we are planning to do breakout rooms for all of our classes so that we can still do small group work. And we've learned a way through Tom Stecker. I attended one of his breakout sessions, and he's taught us how to do the small breakout session and still see what the kids are doing using Google Slides. So that was very, very informative and very helpful.